Well, it seems that I have been allowed to hijack the Centre of Bande Dessinée Museum to replace what is primarily the Francophone patrimony of comics with my own perverse and private map of what comics are. There are things about French comics that have been very, very important to me, that shaped me as an artist and has shaped to a degree the way comics are being perceived, at least in America, and now probably internationally. There's been a nice feedback between Europe, America, and even Japan that created a new situation for comics. So this is the alternate universe, bizarro version of a patrimony. When people used to say, "Oh, you're a comics artist," they always thought that I drew mutants in spandex that were trying to really do damage to each other. And that's never what I thought about in comics. It's also possible to do the history of comics as it was made by the generation before me, the people that ultimately led to the formation of the Festival of Angoulême, the Festival at Lucca, the beginnings of thinking about comics seriously. Back in 1980, for example, I was told, you know, we must find out when comics started. When did comics start? And I said, oh, that's simple, Topfer. Then they'd say, no, it's the Yellow Kid, right? The historiography of that moment, when people thought that the Yellow Kid came from Mars and landed as the first comics character, led to thinking, for example, that the real auteurs of comics were, let's say, Milton Caniff, who did Terry and the Pirates, Alex Raymond, who did Flash Gordon, Hal Foster, who did Prince Valiant, and maybe Lee Falk, who was never important in America, but was really an important figure for Europeans because they saw the Phantom and Mandrake. Malheureusement, you won't see the comics that he was involved in, or even Prince Valiant and Flash Gordon. You will see a little bit of Milton Caniff because he's still a cartoonist the way I understand cartooning. The history, no matter how you make a history of comics, is dependent on the obsessive and the collector. The obsessive, most important to me perhaps, was a man named Bill Blackbeard, who just died this past year, who rescued all the newspaper strips from being thrown away after the invention of microfilm, a CIA invention, incidentally. So they were throwing everything out, including the beautiful color comics that couldn't be photographed well in black and white microfilm. And Bill Blackbeard went around and saved comics. He was really the equivalent of Henri Langlois. In many ways, what this show is a tribute not just to the history of comics and its present, but also to the people who made that history and the present possible. And within that, I would say that yes, now, happily, there seems to be, even in the world where the electronic book is inching away from allowing us to have these beautiful pieces of paper the way we had till recently, there is a future for comics, but the future of comics is in the past.